Hello and thanks for joining us for another episode of MidAmerican Gardener. I'm your host, Tanisha Spain, and joining me in the studio today are a few of my friends who are here to talk about all things gardening. But before we jump in, and as you can see, we've got a lot to talk about, let's have them introduce themselves and then off we go. So Shane, we'll start with you.
Hi, I'm Shane Kultra. I am a retired but one of the owners of Country Arbors Nursery in Urbana, and for 30 years I used to sell and grow plants, and now I do it myself, and I write a little blog to keep me on top of the newest things at botany.com. So that's kind of how I keep refreshed and going through the nursery, and a lot of experience doing this, so now I get to do it myself and share some of that as well.
Get to have a little fun now.
Yeah,
all
exactly.
Right, excellent. All right, Kay.
I'm Kay Carnes. I'm a Champaign County Master Gardener. My area is herbs and some flowers, and I work out at Allerton Park a couple of times a month, taking care of their herb garden, and that's it.
Okay, wonderful. All right, John.
I'm John Bodensteiner. I'm a Vermilion County Master Gardener, and I dabble a little bit of this, that, greenhouse.
Little culinary, little...
I volunteer at Schlarman High School and take care of the greenhouse there. And
we saw you featured a couple weeks ago on our
Yes.
Danville Public Library show.
And that was a wonderful show. If you haven't saw it, go on to
YouTube. You can find it on YouTube and check it out, or you can find it on our MidAmerican Gardener page. So, okay, let's jump in. So, Shane, we'll go back down to you. You brought some lovely seasonal flowers in.
I'll start with one of the most asked topics, and it is mums. So you're seeing them everywhere. If you go to the grocery store, if you go to garden centers, they're all over the place. And what you're seeing generally are garden mums, and they're beautiful, and they can come back. That's a question people ask. If you plant them in August, maybe September, you have a good chance of them coming back. If you can find them in the spring, you have a really good chance, but you never find them in the spring. But some garden centers will sell them. But what you really want is a good old-fashioned mum. And when they changed the name over the years, it started as chrysanthemum, then it went to, I think dendranthemum, and I think that's back to chrysanthemum is the name. So these varieties are the varieties that were from England in the 1800s. It's the original mum that all the new mums were grown off of. It gets 3 feet tall and 3 feet wide and blooms much later, is a lot wispier and a lot taller, as I said. And the flowers are open. They tend to be more pinky color. This one's called Venus. It's it's very fragrant. It's very nice, but it does get a little lanky. So what we do is at the 4th of July is we cut it to the ground, and that keeps it to be a little more full, a little more compact. But it'll be your last blooming mum. It'll be the one that survives. These are really tough to kill. Like once you've planted it, it's almost impossible to kill them. And again, it's going to be blooming in October, November, December, depending on the weather. Normally it's November, end of October when it's in bloom, and it's one of the things that bees still can find that are in flower. So it's really good. And I'll bring real quick, there's a newer variety that's kind of bred off of it that has quilling. It's called matchsticks. So you're seeing more of these new ones that are bred. There's igloo series, there's series, but this was one of the first that was a just open flower, had to quilled, and these will all turn red here as it cools off. All the outside will be a beautiful red color. So this one is a little different, a little bit more fancy, if you will. Still gets a little taller, a little lankier if you don't trim it. It's not that perfect garden mum you see.
But that's still hardy.
Very hardy.
Okay.
Yeah. Wow. These are really tough to kill. I don't care if you plant it now, these will come back. So, and they're hard to find around the nation. You and I were talking, you just don't see it anymore. But fortunately we had Donna at the nursery, my dad's wife, and she loved those old fashioned ones. And so she made sure we kept it in the routine of trimming and cuttings. So
just have to hunt for those. I love that you get like the double show as it ages, you get the red coming through.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize on mums, like some of the whites will turn a pink color or red color with time. So mums are great. I mean, it's one of our last bastions of color at this time of year. So
it's so funny. I think it was the Prairie. I can't remember what page it was, but one of our local growers saying it was wacky to have the air conditioner on. Yeah. And the mums are on the front porch, and like the clashing of the seasons. You know, it's still like 90 degrees outside.
Football in the air and shorts. Yeah. No, it's not supposed to be like that around here.
So where would you plant them? I mean,
usually full sun.
On the north, south?
No, I'd say the south or west. They're going to be a full sun plant. If they don't get a lot of sun, it'll be really lanky and not bloom quite as well. I don't know if you've ever brought out, you bring a mum home from the nursery and they're tight like this, and you put it in an area that's shadier, the backside doesn't even bloom.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's shade does bring out the flower. So as a mum grower, to get them to bloom sooner, we actually lower the daylight hours because you want to trick it to thinking it's in the fall. So if you see mums that are in bloom in August at the garden centers, it's because they purchased from somebody that tricked it into there. 'Cause you can't
Gotcha.
sell, if it's not in bloom, it doesn't sell
Yeah.
as well.
True.
So you
Very
trick it
nice.
into thinking it's fall, which is hard to do this time of year.
And you said that's a very old.
The other one is very old. This is actually a newer variety. This
Gotcha.
one's probably 15 or 20 years old, but that one's over 100-year-old variety.
Wow.
It's one of the original mums. Yeah.
Very nice, very pretty. Okay, we're going to come back to you in just a bit because we've got to get into those gigantic flowers that you have there. Okay, Kay, we're moving to you. Fall means garlic.
Garlic, that's right. And these aren't showy like his flowers, but this is a hardneck garlic. It's got purple stripes in it, and it's one of my favorite. To plant garlic, you want to get your soil nice and loose and dig a trench about 4 to 6 inches deep. And then when you plant them, you put this bottom part in, that's where the roots are going to come out,
Okay.
and then the stem's going to come out this spiky top.
And is now the time that we want to get these in the ground?
Yes, we are getting into the time. Generally October
Okay.
is a good
Do you do any type of soil amendments or do you put any fertilizer in when you plant them?
I have compost,
Oh, okay.
and I put some of that in. But you just want to make sure that soil's kind of nice and loose.
Make it really loose. Okay.
And of course, this year I watered it.
Yes. You didn't have a choice this year, right?
Yeah.
We didn't have a choice this year. So when you plant that, do you have to do anything with it over the winter? Do you go out and check it? Do you go
I
out and
usually
water?
cover the where they're planted with a nice thick layer of straw,
Okay.
and then they'll come up right through the straw when they're ready.
And then typically when do you harvest?
I harvested not real long ago, probably July or
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's got a pretty long growing season,
yeah,
garlic
they
does.
do.
How does the weather affect the flavor? Like these hot, dry summers, does that change anything in the flavor or?
Not that I've noticed. It's mostly the variety. I think that, I haven't noticed any changes due to the weather.
Gotcha. Okay. And then storage. Is there anything you want to mention about when you pull them up? Do you have to let them dry or cure?
Yeah, I let them cure for a while, and then you can either split them open and get the cloves, or you can just put them in a bag in a dry but not real cold spot.
Okay.
You know, so put them in a bag in your spare room or something.
Gotcha. I wanted to ask you because last time you were here, we were talking about it was a rough year for tomatoes. So did your harvest turn around, or was it still a rough year?
We got tomatoes, but they rotted really fast.
Interesting.
And so I picked quite a few of them, but they
Just wasn't a good year. You're
no,
not alone
no.
because everyone I talked to said that they were having a horrible tomato year.
Yeah. Well, I had them plenty of tomatoes, but they just would rot as soon as
Interesting.
they started getting ripe.
Well, interesting. What about you guys? Any tomato?
The cherry tomatoes were great.
Yeah, cherries.
Yeah, they
Cherries
always are.
were prolific. My
So it
dog,
just wasn't the
yeah,
year
he
for
loves
the-
The
them.
bigger ones, we had a lot of
Big
blossom
ones.
end rot.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's just impossible to keep them watered
No.
enough.
Yeah.
And then when you do water, it's probably like a great big drink and
Or if you water the little cherries, if they're real thin skinned, they pop.
Yeah, I have to keep eating them.
darn it, right?
It's not quite the same having a burger with 70 different tomatoes on it, but
Those
it's still pretty
tiny
good.
little slices of
Still pretty
The
good.
cherries are really high in flavor.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
the good thing.
My dog, every morning he goes and just sits next to it waiting. And he could just take them off the vine,
But
but
he's
no,
polite.
I don't.
I've
feed
met
you,
him.
feed me.
He's very
It is
polite.
so funny, though.
Franklin, is it?
Franklin,
Frank,
yeah.
yes.
It's-
Such a polite guy.
It's such a weird thing for a dog to love tomatoes. When I think of dogs, it's not tomato loving.
No.
It's not on my list.
Excellent. Okay, John, we're going to go to you.
I'm going to talk about the hedge apple first.
Okay.
I brought a couple of hedge apples. These are Osage. They're off of an Osage orange tree. You kind of have to be careful because they will ooze a a sap that's milky, and if some people are allergic to that, and so be careful about that. There's an old wives' tale. It's about putting these around your garage doors or around the exterior of your house for spiders, for mice. They have done some studies. They've looked at the trees, and there's all kinds of spiders in the hedge apple or in the Osage orange trees. So
They
did do some research, and they concentrated the chemicals in there, and that was effective in keeping spiders away. But just setting the fruit around, it's not going to do that. It has a couple of other names. They used to call it bow tree or bow wood, because the Native Americans used to make their bows out of the wood. It's a fence post. We were talking earlier. I think some of the fence posts could be 100 years old. And
yeah, and it's such a hard wood. When you burn it, you have to be a little careful. You can heat your fireplace up so hot that it's actually dangerous, because it burns amazing.
It's a really hot. They actually, they had some poor metal that actually melted. So.
Yeah, I was gonna say I melted my grate with.
Oh no!
Yeah, because it wasn't very good quality.
So does any animal eat these? I mean, are they?
We haven't figured out a use. We were talking about.
I know. I'm just
so
curious.
Squirrels can eat them, and other animals, the wildlife.
Will a horse eat it?
I don't think so.
We'll have to ask Marty.
Yeah, Marty. Yeah, we didn't have
Where's Marty when you need her?
They're not poisonous to eat, but they will cause you some
gastric
stomach problem. A lot of people use them for crafts. They'll cut them and then dry them, and like oranges. You see the dried fruit.
I'm sure when you have that many laying around, people will try and figure out something to do with it.
Something. Now, does it fruit really heavy? I mean, are these just everywhere on the ground?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I just find that so interesting.
You go out to Allerton, there's the parking lot. There's a couple sections where there's just everywhere. It's dangerous to walk.
Rolling your ankle,
and you don't want to put your car underneath them, because
they're
these
pretty good size.
They'll bust your windshield.
Oh yeah, that's heavy. That's heavy, definitely.
But
interesting.
it's just got thorny branches. So, but
okay. Well, if you find one, now you know what they are. Don't eat it. Use it for crafting.
And we at the nursery, I think it's still there. We have a fruitless variety,
and
the original variety.
There is a male. You do need a male and a female on these. So if you have the male, and you don't want the fruit, you can.
And no, it didn't sell very well, but there is such thing. If people wanted to grow the wood, they could grow the wood without having the fruit. Yeah, there's at our arboretum at the nursery. Willett Wandell, who was the original Wandell, he came out with autumn brilliant serviceberry, and a lot of the trees that you see and know, he was the person that propagated them. And so within that arboretum are plants that nobody really buys anymore, but he was trying them out to see if they would go well. And nobody really wanted an Osage orange, but it was a thought. Maybe 70 years ago, it was a good thought.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, Shane, we're back to you with these flowers.
Well, I've been pretty vocal about how bad of a dahlia grower I am, because I've never really had time or thought about growing dahlias other than at the nursery. And nursery growing is easier because you have, big pots of soil, and you've got people to help water on the weekends, and you've got greenhouses. And at home, I didn't really have any of that. It was just in the ground. So I wrote on my blog, and I probably talked about here, is I just literally, anything you're supposed to do, I did it the opposite, because I just wasn't thinking. Like, keep it really dry after you put the tuber in. What do? Water it in really, really good. Let it grow, but then cut it off so it branches out. I want to see how tall it can get.
Yes.
So I just did everything wrong. But the weather helped me out. So they're in full bloom now. Normally I probably wouldn't have gotten very many. And so I've got 30 different varieties, and it's just been the highlight of my day. I know I'm getting old when the dahlias are the highlight of my day. Like, literally, I go out there with my coffee and see what's in bloom. And I've got a lot of different ones. And today they were a little on the end of one cycle, but like there were dahlias, and this looks really worse for wear, but this was about 15 inches across.
Wow.
And you really can't tell how big till you start putting the other ones. But they were giant. When they say dinner plate, they were the size of a dinner plate. And I was trying to show everybody how big they are, but you couldn't. So I'm like putting my hand next to it. And you know how you
for scale,
like a banana next to it. But that one's called Maki, and there's all kinds of different colors. This red one is called American Beauty, and it's again, it's just a perfect red color in my opinion. And then you've got the orangey color, and this is Andrew Charles.
That's gorgeous.
It's just, again, colors you just don't see in flowers with that beautiful buttery yellow. And this one actually gets a little pink to it towards the end. This one's called Helen Richmond. So it's actually normally a little pinky, but it comes across as yellow today. So with a little bit more cold, it turns colors. But again, I really love it. And I realize that this is a thing for like 200 years in England, right? There's dahlia societies and there's Facebook groups with 300,000 people. I'm that guy now.
You're that guy
Yeah,
now.
I'm addicted to dahlias. And they cut so well and they're so pretty to
They are gorgeous.
have on the, even my wife is, again, I've talked about this, flowers to her mean nothing because I'd always bring flowers and, oh great, flowers.
More flowers.
But now she appreciates this.
So my wife, that was in her bouquet when we got married,
Indeed.
a spider mum.
Oh yeah, those are beautiful, the big long ones.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at the business model of course I always look at how do you make money growing these. And what I find is they do sell the tubers, but during the they have 50 acres of flowers, so then they use them for weddings the whole time. So they're growing the roots and they're cutting them, but they're also cutting flowers and selling those to all that. I would love to live next to that place.
Wow.
50 acres of hundreds of varieties of dahlias would be stunning.
I used to grow dahlias, and now you're making me
No,
I've
it's-
done
Wanted
it
to
for
get
a
back
few years
into it,
now.
huh?
I
At
wanna
least a
do it.
couple of them, right?
Yeah.
Let me ask you
Gorgeous.
this.
I
Will
just
you
love
dig
them.
all those?
Yeah, so I'm going to dig them up and
Oh,
store
yeah.
them. We'll see. I was pretty good with cannas, but those are generally pretty easy. But I think I can make it work. I have a room that's kind of perfect for that, and I'll put them in. I usually put them in, although you can't find it, but the old boxes for paper, the reams of paper.
Yes.
And I put a little dry peat moss in there, and I'll throw them in there.
That's why I've stored. That,
Yeah.
I do that with my canas too.
Yeah, and I labeled them, but I also sketched out a picture of where, because I have 30 different varieties. So I've learned that I put a label, that label will disappear.
Oh, yes.
So now I hand sketched everything and made a whole map of it.
Very nice.
And then I'll add more to it. So I bought one of every kind, which is, I hated when gardeners would come in and get one. I'm like, you don't get anything when you just get one, you need groupings. And the one worked pretty well.
now,
but
yeah.
there's a couple favorites that I'm going to get a lot, or even gift to people, because they're just so pretty. And again, I feel weird talking about that because I'm never that guy. But I really
Sneaks up on you, doesn't it?
Yeah,
It's like watching the birds.
I'm gonna have an English accent next time you come here, just because of that. Yeah.
Now, will you store them in the house?
Yeah,
the
I'll store
tubers?
them in a room in that peat moss in that little because I don't have very many. I used to store over 1,000. I'd say almost 5,000 canna in my basement.
Holy cow.
At home, not at the nursery.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so I'm pretty good at storing that kind of stuff. So I think I'll have pretty good luck with it. And some of these are $30 a piece.
Wow.
So I'll be curious to see how many if I got multiple, because that's the other thing. I'd
Yeah.
love to have 2 or 3 out of it. But I did not cut them down. If I'd have cut them down, I'd have a big, wide grouping because they would have spread. But instead, they're 6 feet tall, 7 feet tall. And I wish I'd have cut them down. But the other thing is harvesting makes them grow more flowers. So it's good to keep cutting. The more you cut, the more flowers you get, which is perfect.
Hey,
Yeah.
I did
it's a
heading them.
win-win.
Deadheading. But if you cut them right when they're about to open, it automatically starts another bloom the next day. It's right out of the gate. Yeah.
They are absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah.
We did a show out at Delight Flower
Yeah.
Farm where we talked about dahlias, and she was saying that it was about time to start digging them up, or at
Yeah.
least planning to dig them up soon.
Yeah, you need one hard frost, like
I
a
was
lot
just
of
going to
things.
ask if you should
The
wait till
very
you had
first-
a killing frost.
Yeah, once you see the frost, it kind of knocks them back a little bit. You'll be good. Normally, you're not going to kill anything till 13, 12, 11
Gotcha.
temperatures. So one hard frost, kick them.
Maybe you'll get. She got I think 6, 7, 8 root
Yes.
cuttings.
But
from-
she probably knew what she was doing.
We'll just say you were doing it for
You
science.
will. I was just laughing at all the things that kept going wrong. And of course, I leave it a month at a time, which is a good flower to leave for a month
Yeah.
at a time because they like it on the dry side.
Yeah.
So it works out well for if you're a summer leaver because
So they were
they don't bloom during
thriving.
the summer and you come back and they're ready to go.
Gotcha. Okay. Very nice. All right, John, we're going to go to you.
I've also brought some Kiefer pears. Pears are one that people leave on the tree, and they never ripen. And pretty soon they're going to notice up here by the stem, it starts to rot, and then it falls off. Well, then it's too old because they've waited for it to ripen on the tree. What you're actually supposed to do is pick them when they're kind of green, about now, and then bring them in. And if you're in a hurry, you can put them in a brown paper bag, close it up, and the ethylene gas will make them ripen a little bit. You see, this is one that is a little green. This one here's got just a little bit. This one here is to the point where I could actually eat this.
I was going to say, you might want to eat that one.
Yeah.
you press up here, and if there's any give it all, it's right. And I make pear salsa, and I use a lot of pears in my salsa. It just sweetens it up a little bit.
Pear butter this year.
Pear butter.
Pear butter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, that
So-
sounds good.
Oh, it was.
But you want to keep them on your countertop or brown paper bag if you want to rush them. If they get to this point and you need to slow them down, put them in the refrigerator only after they get to the point where they're ready to use. Otherwise, you're going to.
And these keep really well for a really long time.
They do. And if you have a whole bunch and you put them in there, a lot of people will wrap them individually with a newspaper so that if you get a bad one, kind of like cana bulbs, you separate them
Yeah,
so
they
they're not
spread.
touching. And otherwise, if you get one to rot, they'll all
And if you
rot.
wrap it with gold foil, you like the places I buy online, you can sell them for like $20 a piece.
Always the businessman here.
Have you ever seen that? It's,
Yes.
who,
it's usually around the holidays,
Yeah, I don't
and
remember.
they're just beautiful.
I should know the company. I'm sure one of the viewers will know. But you'll send a box and like 8 pairs. But then you eat it, and it's the best
like,
pear you ever had.
"Oh, I
And I don't know if it's because of
understand
the gold wrapper, but it sure when you take a gold wrapper off of anything, it's got to be delicious. Right?
Well, we have a suckle pear tree,
Okay.
and they're smaller, but they're delicious.
Are they really sweet?
Yes,
Is it a
they're
sweet pear?
very sweet.
And I have a one that's an Oriental, and it's round.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of those are.
And
too.
Those are really good.
Those are real good.
Those are
too.
the best-selling pears now
Yeah.
too.
The round ones.
The round ones, yeah.
Really? Interesting. I love how the trends change on things. Well, since we're kind of talking about weather, let's talk a little bit more about bringing indoor plants. Bringing your indoor plants back inside from the porch. So not necessarily your bulbs and things, but pots that you've got sitting out as we're cooling off. Any tips and tricks for folks at home to know when it's time to bring those pots in?
It really comes down to knowing your plants and what the coldest temperatures that the weakest plant in there. So John and I were talking about, I do bring coleus in because I have mother plants, and it's my canary because it can take the least drop in temperature. And I know it's 40, 38 at most. To know your plants of what that can be if you want to push it a little longer.
Okay.
But really when we start getting into the 40s at night, you need to start thinking about
Yeah.
most of your stuff.
Bring them closer to the house.
Yeah.
Visually checking, making sure that there's no insects or pests on the plant or in the soil.
Yeah, I do a shower. I don't know if everybody does. I literally just throw them in the shower. If I can do it outside, I'll do it outside. But if it's a smaller one, it's easier to just turn on some water and I leach all the everything out of it. Bugs, fertilizer, I just let it take a shower.
And then
Just
repot
let it
it.
drain all the
Yeah.
way through. That's a really good
Because
idea.
it's been sitting outside and it's got all kinds of stuff, but it gets the bugs off too.
You're kind of doing the opposite of what you did in the spring, hardening it off. Now you're softening them up because the light is going to be different, the humidity is going to be different. Just you know,
Yeah, I mean, I'm prepping now. Where am I going to put all this? What is the light that I'm going to use? And we talked about grow lights last year quite a bit. Grow lights are so inexpensive,
Yeah.
and you can take a plant that you never could have grown before, and for $15 a month, grow 30 plants.
yeah. I got some of those that grow light that you got. I
Yeah.
got a couple of those because
It's fantastic.
even if you have a greenhouse,
You only have so many south windows, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
So-
you've
and even-
only got so
and
much.
it's only so many hours of sunlight. Some of the plants they'll start to stretch in the winter.
Yeah, absolutely. So planning ahead, what are the steps you're going to take to how to get them there? Like I have a fruit tree. I just can't carry the pot. It's 7 feet tall. I literally take it out, put it in a plastic bag, and I have another exact pot downstairs. So I don't have to bring the pot back and forth. I'm just bringing the plant and sticking it in there. And
Yeah.
it's rooted up enough that it's not a mess. But I got to the point where I'm 55. I can't carry a 200-pound pot downstairs anymore.
Wait till you get to my age.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Cases, yeah.
You'll be lucky
You're gonna
to
have
carry
staff.
20
Yeah.
pounds.
Are those
Throw it
the-
on a dolly or
like,
in a
is that
wagon.
the moving guys? No, that's taking in the plant
That's
guys.
bringing the plants in. All right, we've got about 2 minutes left. I want to make sure we get to your Buckeyes.
Okay, there was a picture that somebody or question on what it was or what the spiny little dry things were. And I think they were. I think she has a horse chestnut.
Yes, horse chestnut.
And because it has a lot hairier. This is a Buckeye. This is the native buckeye. I also have a red buckeye, which has even a smoother skin. And these are the buckeyes. You can, they all look pretty much the same. They'll come out of a shell like this. There may be 1, 2, 3, and depending on the size.
This is from Terry Rutledge. She says she lives in Illinois, shares a house with her sisters in eastern Ohio, and these droppings that are what she's finding on the ground, and she just was curious about what they were.
They look to me like chestnut or horse chestnuts that did not get. That's a buckeye there.
Yeah.
The other one that she had, that is a chestnut because if you notice the hairs are much longer. It's probably not fertilized. Or it got froze or something, and they're just dropping out of the tree now. Or it may just have been aborted with the dry year that we've had.
I thought for 1 second when I first thought it was a dried sweet gum ball, but she would know what that was.
That's what I thought when I first saw it. I looked at it, and it's not.
Okay.
And the flowers will be helpful. I know we're running up on time here, but the flower colors, the horse chestnuts have some reds in them a lot of times. So instead of just a plain.
And I've got the red buckeye.
The Briati.
Right. We are out of time. That went so fast. Thank you guys for coming in. Thank you so much for watching. If you've got questions, send them in to us at yourgarden@gmail.com or search for us on socials. Just look for MidAmerican Gardener, and we will see you next time. Good night.